Oh, it's a rainy day. Why don't I see what TikTok has to say today?
Forgive me, skeptics who are watching, I'm just trying to be honest here. I find that generally speaking, atheist arguments against Christianity are usually very poor. They're not well thought out, they're not well defended, they're not well explained, and they do tend to focus more on giving an impression that something's wrong with Christianity.
Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I am an atheist and skeptic, and I am in no place to forgive Mike Winger for his dumb opinions. And make no mistake, he has some dumb opinions. Today's episode of whatever this is that I'm doing here on the Scarlett channel, this is going to be something I call Vibes Christianity. You know, just all impressions and feels and all that kind of stuff. So let's watch Mike talk in a totally non-specific way about atheists and their terrible arguments.
Forgive me, skeptics who are watching, I'm just trying to be honest here. I find that generally speaking, atheist arguments against Christianity are usually very poor. They're not well thought out, they're not well defended, they're not well explained, and they do tend to focus more on giving an impression that something's wrong with Christianity and then moving quickly to other arguments, but not actually camping out and saying, I'm going to defend this thoroughly.
I think what I find most interesting about this TikTok is how Winger seems interested in giving an impression that something is wrong with atheist arguments without going into any one specifically, you know, camping out and really thinking one through. Projection much? Like, what specific argument is Winger talking about here? Has he spent any time on these old YouTubes? There are whole channels dedicated to debating one idea. I have lost count of the atheist channels that have read and discussed the whole Bible, book by book, chapter by chapter, line by line. There are channels that describe the problems with Christian arguments, taking twice or 3 times the amount of time of the original video to say what's wrong with each thing. There are live streams that have Christians call in and defend an argument. Just one argument that they sit on for a long time. And that's just here on YouTube. There are whole blogs out there written in the World Wide Web. Maybe if you're talking one-on-one with someone who isn't prepared, maybe they will jump around. But seriously, Winger needs to get out of his bubble. And just an important nitpick, Winger begins this TikTok by addressing skeptics, and then he pivots and talks about atheist arguments. While it's likely most skeptics are atheists, the reverse is definitely not true. There are all kinds of atheists out there, ones for solid epistemological reasons and ones for poor ones. Some actually have a religion, like Buddhism, and some can believe in all kinds of supernatural and woo claims. But it's hard to know what he's talking about since there are no specifics, so we're just going to keep vibing with Winger.
And it's kind of like good answers to tough questions don't matter to some people. They just want to keep trying to give you gotcha questions.
I find this rich coming from someone who replied to a fellow Christian who was having doubts about his faith by deflecting to meanie pie atheists trying to wreck his vibe. Instead of providing that, again, fellow Christian with reasons to keep believing, he said that, quote, the hiddenness of God is an argument atheists make, and went on to say that that Christian shouldn't let that stumble you. But it's totes atheists who don't think answers matter, right?
You bring up a challenge to Christianity, and when it's answered, you just bring up another challenge. You don't actually process the info and adjust your thinking based upon the reasons that have been brought. Those are some of my concerns.
I would love to know what he is on about here. Like, what exactly was the topic or selection of topics, and what exactly was the good answer he brought? You know, I could make something up. But really, the only reason this TikTok exists is to give Christians the impression that Mike, I've interacted with thousands of atheists, Winger, knows what he's talking about. It is so lacking in anything useful that there is no argument to it. And he can always just say, well, this is just how I feel, you know, because Christianity is just a vibe. Next.
Atheists cannot answer this question. We know time, space, and matter was all created at the Big Bang.
Exhibit 2 in Christianity is just a vibe. If atheists can't explain some scientific topic to their satisfaction, Christians win forever. Notice that the written texts say atheists can't answer logically, but he leaves that out in the oral part, but fine. That's a nitpick because I think that is what he meant to imply anyway. But here we see that he is wrong. The Big Bang was not the creation of matter, it was the start of our current presentation of the universe. Sure, time and space started there, but it wasn't from nothing. And I'm going to do damage if I try to go on and explain anymore. This is not my area. Let's just say he is wrong.
But if it was all created at the Big Bang, what caused the Big Bang? The cause.
In a world where there was a Big Bang, there must have been something to cause the Big Bang. Yeah, maybe there was just something physical that caused it.
The cause would have to be something timeless, spaceless, and immaterial.
Yeah, maybe it was just a process.
And the atheist would say, we don't know.
I think that this was an answer to what caused the Big Bang. Like, what caused the Big Bang? Atheists say, we don't know. And by the way, Christians don't know either. We have models, so yeah, we don't know. Fine.
So if you don't know, why could it not be God?
Why wasn't it Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe? Or Chris, the creator of universes? Like, sure, I guess it could be a god, but why would we think that? Isn't it better to keep studying the phenomenon and just see where our study leads? Why posit a variable like a god? And why do you have to go to an event like the Big Bang to talk about your god? Why are you going to an event where we all say we don't know what happened to hypothesize about your god? Even if a god is a variable we should study, why would it be your god? Shouldn't your God be obvious, though, without resorting to scientific phenomena that are not entirely explained through the science? Christian God walked the planet, supposedly, and he even sent himself to die. It seems he could make himself a little more obvious and not just hide out in this expansion event. And by the way, science doesn't work by positing something for which there is no physical evidence and trying to jam that into a model. All right, let's keep going.
And if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing at all?
And why do you assume that nothing is a possible state of affairs? What if it is only possible for existence to exist? I'm not sure there's anything more we can say on this. This shit is all over the internet, and there are real answers that he could look up if he were interested. To be clear, there is the Socratic method, really meant to probe your logic and get you to understand where the tensions are. And then there's this garbage of just asking questions, which is really a form of vibes-based posturing. Moving on.
Best questions to ask an atheist? What do you mean by atheism?
Just lack of belief in any god. And what is this visual meant to convey? BRB, just updating my bullet journal about my lack of belief.
When did you become an atheist?
I don't know exactly when I stopped believing in God. It was maybe 20 years ago. It just happened gradually. And again, what is this visual? Like, I need the clock to visualize when, LOL?
Did you ever believe in God? What's your experience with Christians? What, if anything, might cause you to reconsider your beliefs? Those are the kinds of questions I like to begin with. Now, eventually...
Sounds to me like Sean wants to tailor his proselytizing. Know what direction he should take the conversation. Not a bad idea, but to be clear, he is not looking to get to know people or to discover new ideas. He has the truth to sell, you see. As for my answers, so yeah, I was a Christian, Catholic in particular, and I have had tons of interactions with Christians over the course of my life, and I have to say, right now, I am not happy with the rise of Christian nationalism in my country and various idiotic busybodies trying to legislate everyone's bodily choices, who we can all marry, and whether or not we can access IVF or birth control. So, you can all back the fuck off of the politics. And I am always reevaluating my beliefs. I'm looking at your fucking TikTok. I will say my opinions about Sean's haircut have not changed. I know he's going for a hip youth pastor, but I think it makes him look like a dipshit.
Now, eventually, I want to get to the big question. Why is there something rather than nothing? Where did life come from? The origin of consciousness, objective moral values and duties, and who is Jesus? But to me, those questions are often downstream from first getting to know the person and hearing their story.
See, Sean only wants to get to know people so he can preach. Gross. Seriously, dude, why don't you try to just enjoy people's company? But here we have again the big questions, quote unquote creation, which we just dealt with in that other TikTok and will continue to deal with as long as apologists can grift bucks from gullible donors. And yeah, to be clear, there is no creation. We can use science to explain physical phenomena, and that includes how the universe and all its contents formed, how life emerged, and how consciousness evolved. And of course, we've got the objective moral obligations and duties. And I continue to say this, I do not see that morality is objective in any meaningful way. We grow up in a culture, and hopefully we grow and learn as we do so that we can improve our moral values. But there is too much variety in morality across space and time to say that there is anything objective. And who is Jesus? Like, that's a big question to you? You see that as the same as trying to hash out what is or isn't moral or how to understand physical processes? Really though, I think Jesus is just an idea. It's like saying mom, the flag, and apple pie. I can fill in whatever notions I want. We can think we are imagining the same thing, but we won't know. And if I think you're wrong, I'll just accuse you of being a fake Christian. Seriously, Christianity is just a vibe. Prove me wrong. So what do you think about Christianity just being a vibe? Put it in the comments below. And while you're down there, you can like and subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff. I know you love to do the YouTube stuff. And if you like what I do, you can buy me a coffee. That link will also be in the description below. And I will be back soon with something more. I don't know what. And hopefully not just a vibe, but something meaty we can sink our teeth into. See you then.